Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to my channel. What do we have here? So, as promised to some of you people, because some of you have been asking me to show perfume collection, this and that. This is just an example of how crazy I can go. So this is one of my Chanel No. 5 stands, and today I will be doing a Chanel No. 5 review. So it is the most mythological of all creatures in the perfume world. It is Chanel No. 5. This is just a part of the collection. I've been collecting Chanel No. 5 since forever. These are just the products I'm going to use today in order to kind of describe the different variation of products available. But let's just put it this way. Chanel No. 5 is one of my favorite perfumes. If I were asked, to just go on a desert island and take just one perfume with me, it would most likely be Chanel No. 5. Even though I shift and drift between other perfumes and other preferences from time to time, Chanel No. 5 always keeps coming back to me as my favorite. Especially now, beginning of spring. Spring is the best time to do Chanel 5 reviews because it is full of like spring roses and things in it. Now, why Chanel No. 5 and why me combined with Chanel No. 5? Easy, because I personally do not think or consider Chanel No. 5 to be just a female perfume. I think it is a unisex perfume. Every perfume should be. Whatever fits your skin, your chemistry, your taste, your olfactory appetite is the right perfume for you. Chanel No. 5 cannot be classified as something within a gender. Merely, even if just because of all the ingredients it has over 80 ingredients in it, and there's so much layering and texture to it that it's impossible to really kind of just say, this is for that person, that's not for that person, it's for this gender, it's not for that gender. So having cleared that, let's get to the basics. The basics being the ingredients. So main accords, so it's an aldehyde scent. We're going to get to the aldehyde soon. Woody, powdery, musky, floral, citrusy. Top notes are aldehydes, which we know. Then we have the neroli. Then we have ilang ilang. Then we have bergamot. And we have lemon. Now we move on to the middle notes. We have iris, rose, lily of the valley, jasmine, and the orris root. Then we go to the base notes. Civet, musk, patchouli, sandalwood, amber, vetiver, oak moss, vanilla. And there's much more there, but these are kind of the main ones. What is important to say? This perfume is one of the oldest perfumes we got that kind of withstood the test of time, even though, well, we're going to get to the history of it in a bit. 1921, that's a long time ago. That's when the perfume came out. Why the number 5? The number 5, and again, everything that's related to Chanel and Chanel's history or mythology is kind of shrouded with mystery because we don't really know. There's a theory that says that number 5, it was the 5th sample that was given to her within a myriad of samples, and she liked the 5th one the most, so it was the number 5 that she chose for the launch. Ernest Beau is at this point we don't, everything. Ernest Beau is the nose behind this perfume, but who knows who else, or if just him. And as the perfume came out in 1921, the bottle was different from this pure perfume you see here. It wasn't the same bottle. When it first came out, this stopper was kind of, it didn't have that flat. It was more in this kind of style. It was tiny and it was much more flat. It was really, really, really thin. And it was more rounded on the tops. The bottle has transformed through time. It has passed through a lot of different shapes and sizes. But I don't even know if in this book, no. You see, that's the thing. I got this a couple of years back at I don't know, somewhere, at a Chanel counter. It's really funny. It's like Chanel. Wait, like you have the top of the bottle, and then you have the bottom of the bottle. This is kind of like the heritage of Chanel and Chanel's history, and Chanel No. 5 in particular. And then they would, talk about the bottle. But Chanel always hides very well. This is Coco herself. It hides very well everything that kind of was in the past of the brand. I don't really like that very much. I think they should be more proud of it. This is the Chanel bottle today. The pure perfume, at least. So basically, they're not really very quick on showing you. This is Jacques Paul. This is the guy who does the perfumes. Now, actually, he apparently retired, so his son is now doing the Chanel, is the head perfumer of Chanel. His first perfume is Misia. Flowers. So Chanel is not, as I was saying, Chanel is not very quick at kind of just showing you everything that happened in the past. They kind of hide that up and they just push forward to the future, which is not all that bad, but tradition in a way should be respected, I believe. So what I want to say is I would really love to have from time to time at least a re-edition of the original bottle from the 20s or from the 30s, 40s, and 60s and so on. The story behind Chanel, this is the biggest bottle I have, the 200 milliliter Eau de Parfum. The story of the Chanel perfumes in general is not an easy one. Chanel No. 5 has a very complicated past. So as we said, it hit the market in 1921. It was considered the most modern of fragrances. It was so androgynous back then already because the times required that, mixing it up of genders and women's rights and the right to free yourself from the corsets, the right to wear shorter hair for women, and men were also more flamboyant on the same side. So it was a mix of everything. It was a very, very fun time and very interesting and of course also dangerous time to live in. Let's face it, the 20s weren't just a pony ride. So this perfume represented everything that those times were in the 20s. There was not just one flower, not just one oil, not just one major ingredient in a perfume, but this one you couldn't identify it. That was the mystery behind that. So everybody was going so crazy for it back then because they could not figure out what is really in this perfume. How many different things are there? Every time you kind of would lock your nose onto one ingredient, then, depending on the weather, depending on your chemistry, mood, season, you would kind of shift into sensing some other ingredient within it. So it was very kind of ethereal in a way. You couldn't really grasp it and catch it. But at the same time, it was unequivocally No. 5. So the bottle started changing pretty soon, and politics changed as well. World War II came, Chanel exiled to Switzerland. But the biggest problem was this, and Chanel made two big mistakes in her life, I do believe. One of them underestimating the power of her cosmetics and perfumes, and the other one was underestimating the power of her bags. Now, as far as the bags goes, she would have not lived to see just how much her bags would have become famous because she died in 71, Lagerfeld took over 83. The iconic bags boomed and exploded right after he arrived. So this she did not live to see. Otherwise, I'm sure she would have expanded her bag range and the qualities of the bags and the textures back in the day. Same thing with the perfume. So what she did was, to the Wertheim family, she kind of sold the rights. It's a tricky thing. Not really the complete rights. She would be earning money off of the cosmetics, but she didn't really understand just how much of an empire this perfume in particular would have built her or the Wertheim family. So they got the rights. The war began. Chanel stopped producing haute couture. Her couture line shut down during the war. The only thing that was still in production were the perfumes. And there's these photos, if you Google it, you could see, right after the war, 1945, American troops in Paris rushing to the Chanel boutique to buy Chanel No. 5 to their loved ones, you know, to their girlfriends or wives or soon to be wed ladies abroad. So they would, there are actually historic photos depicting that. That's really cool and amazing. So anyway, Chanel realizes all of a sudden, damn, I missed out on this. I need more money for this. So after the war, she started a huge legal battle to get all of her rights back. She wanted the entire recognition and the full-on money on all of the products sold from Chanel No. 5. And she did not quite win. They did kind of settle out of court in a way. And you might ask yourself, or some of you who know a little bit more of Chanel's history might ask yourself, but wait a minute, she had this humongous building or apartments in the Rue Cambon 31, where also her mother or first big atelier boutique was, or still is to date. Why wouldn't she live there? We see photos of the Coromandel, you know, screens of her amazing staircase with mirrors, of the apartment with the wheat and gold on tables and everything. And we don't really see her living there because she lived in the Ritz. Why is that? One of the reasons, and again, everything's shrouded in mystery, but one of the reasons she did live in the Ritz is because settling out of court with the Vadheimers, she also agreed upon a huge chunk of royalties, yes, and also for the rest of her life, to live in the Ritz, all expenses paid. So she chose the most expensive place within Paris. It was still close to Rue Cambon 31. And she lived till her dying day in the Ritz, paid by the Vadheimers. Interesting. Anyway, now let's get slowly to the perfume, shall we? All right, I'm thinking, you know, I'm going to review, it's hard to do all of them because they're so different. I mean, as of today, you know, No. 5 has expanded into so many different directions and there's been so many different experiments made. But just to stay true to tradition, the original No. 5, the pure perfume, is the original Chanel No. 5. The Eau de Toilette and Eau de Cologne came later, after posthumous to her life. So posthumous, after her death, in the 80s, the Eau de Parfum was launched. So Chanel never smelled the Eau de Parfum. It's not something that she kind of picked out. So let's, you know, put this baby on. I'm just going to put it on this wrist here and there. Okay. It's, what can I say? I mean, I have this since many years. It's amazing. And don't be fooled by thinking that the perfume is more intense than the Eau de Parfum or the Eau de Toilette. That's not true. The perfume is actually stays much closer to the skin. It's much more subtle. And it's just incredible. And the more time passes and the more it becomes warm and maybe even hot in a way. But floral, yes. Warm, yes. Everything is in there. I'm personally one of those people who I can't really smell out anything in particular out of here. Except that it's really magnetic. I mean, of course, if you really want to like close your eyes and try to kind of matrix your way through the different scents and try to figure out what is what there, you can smell the rose, you can smell the sandalwoods, especially in the dry down. You can smell the warmth of it. You can smell also the citrusy parts of it. You could. But to me, Chanel No. 5 was never about distinguishing the different ingredients. Chanel No. 5 is more about enveloping yourself within a myth. And boy, this is one humongous, I don't even know, you know, I mean, it's as if an army of mythological creatures would conquer your city riding on top of winged lions. That's basically what this perfume is. That's how intense and powerful it is. It just lives on its own. It doesn't need you or me. It's just, I don't know, it's crazy. Such a strange concoction. You have to understand, you know, throughout history, this perfume wasn't always considered like the big heavenly creature we consider it today, or that it's considered today. Because in the past, there has been, especially in the 50s, it was, especially distribution in America, wasn't really dealt with in a proper way, also in the 60s. So you could find it also like in drugstores, you could find this perfume everywhere. It was sold for relatively cheap prices as well. The market was overflooded. The sales started dropping. Then, thank God, Chanel like pulled themselves together. The Vadheims, I guess, did, or whoever was responsible for the marketing strategies in America, and they started taking them off the market. So Chanel No. 5 was strategically taken off the market and started being like reinserted in really small places here and there till it regained popularity and importance. So strategically, there was a time when the strategy was wrong. Sales started to go down. The perfume was considered almost like obsolete. And then they changed the strategy again and vamped it up. Commercials with Catherine Deneuve in Europe mostly, but also in the States, were made for several years, maybe almost throughout the decade. And Catherine Deneuve was a great face for Chanel No. 5. I think she also did Chanel No. 19. And in her younger years, of course, she represented kind of the youth of the 60s. Then we have, I want to say Carol Alt, but let me just check this. Carol Alt? No, who was it? Let's see. Chanel No. 5. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out if it was Carol Alt. No, I don't think it was Carol Alt. What was her name? Oh, well, I'll get to it in a minute. So a lot of faces have adorned the ads, the publicity ads of Chanel No. 5. The biggest one being, willingly or unwillingly in a way, because in an interview she claimed that she only wore a drop of Chanel No. 5 perfume when she went to bed, was Marilyn Monroe. Now we know, we have this famous photo of her, almost kind of naked, holding the bottle in her hand and, smiling ferociously. Let me see if I find something here. It's so weird. It's so hard to find something proper. And the most interesting of these, faces, models or actors, and in fact Chanel used already Catherine Deneuve in the 60s, so Chanel is not new to using actors or famous people in their ads just today like other perfumes or brands do. They used to do that in the past as well. But the most interesting selection they made was to use Brad Pitt a couple of years back, maybe 3 or 4 years back. The ad campaign flopped. There was so much confusion. People were thinking, oh, it's a new perfume for men. Chanel No. 5 started making new perfume for men, so they were kind of going, asking the salespeople, and the salespeople would have to explain to them that it's a female perfume. Big mistake. I think it was a great idea to take a man to advertise for Chanel No. 5. I do not think it was a good idea to take Brad Pitt. I don't think he understands or has that poetry necessary for Chanel No. 5. I mean, yeah, he's a hunk, he's cool, he's hot, whatever. Nothing against Brad Pitt, for God's sakes. But he lacks that poetry that is needed for Chanel No. 5. Heck, I would have even preferred Adrian Brody for Chanel No. 5. But anyway, whatever. I love the idea of using a man to promote it. It's a pity that Chanel immediately withdrew the commercials after just a couple of weeks, and it was a big flop. It was criticized and blah, blah, blah. I thought it was a great step forward. I think a man promoting perfume like this that was for decades and almost centuries, whatever, century female, and kind of give it that touch of no, Chanel is not just about that. It is androgynous, and Coco Chanel herself was pushing that was pushing willingly or unwillingly, knowingly or unknowingly, those boundaries already back in the day. So you see another example of how Chanel kind of hides, and just submerges or buries down stuff that they don't kind of like having done. So that commercial is gone. You can't find it in any archive. You can't find, Chanel doesn't talk about it anymore. And it's a thing. They paid a lot of money. Brad Pitt was paid millions of dollars to do it. Apparently the commercial flopped. They took it away, forgotten, moving on, next commercial, and that's a pity. I think you have to kind of own it. Own what you do. Own every mistake you make as well, because it makes you grow. It makes you understand how to make things better. had they said that Chanel No. 5 is not just for women at a certain point, but say it is for humanity, mankind, I think that would have given it that extra twist, extra touch. Because to me, this is a perfume that can go with anybody. You just have to have the right chemical combination, you know, to go with it. It's sweetening down just a bit right now, but not too much. It's still floating there. It really, it's like a perfume that doesn't have any legs. And it's not really up there in the heavens. It's right in between. And it's just like a cloud of mesmerizing. It's almost like a drug, you know, because it floats around you, makes you feel safe and comfortable. And at the same time, it gives you that little kick you need, that energy you need to just go for it and be yourself and be more determined, you know, in life, which is a great thing for a perfume to attribute to you. I also would suggest The Secret of Chanel No. 5. The Intimate History of the World's Most Famous Perfume by Tilar J. Matzel, bestselling author of The Widow Clicquot, edited by Harper. Advanced praise for The Secret of Chanel No. 5. So it's an interesting book. Of course, again, we have facts and theory, and again, everything is shrouded in mystery and suspense. So, as I said, however, Chanel did not understand the power of her perfumes and gave away the rights and then fought to get them back and then didn't get them back as she wanted to. Same thing goes for the bags. She would have earned more millions had she pushed those bags back in the day more than more than, you know, she did. And today we have the famous 255 bag that I have here as a caviar version. Love this baby to pieces. This also is as iconic as this, basically. These are the two milestones of Chanel, you know, the 255 bag and the No. 5 perfume. Now, what happens with this little scent? If we were to go step it a notch down. This was made in 1983 or 1985. That was the launch of this one. So let's go. The bigger the bottle, the better. If they had a bigger one than 200 ml, I would get it. I just love how chunky it is. It's different. I mean, of course, we recognize Chanel No. 5, but it's not this anymore. This one is way richer. And, you know, Chanel has its own plantations of flowers, of roses in Grasse, in the south of France. And it's just, it's crazy the amount that they produce with their own, you know, capacities, with their own flowers. So as much as they can, of course, we also have aldehydes that are artificially produced, but we also have natural ingredients in these perfumes. And I don't know to which extent they still really do that and how much they just tell us that they do that. Nevertheless, the pure perfume, I would always suggest to go for the pure perfume because it's just, you just smell the difference. You just smell the quality difference. This one is more cosmetic-y. This one is more powdery. This one is more a perfume that you would use for, I don't know, you know, to me it's so connected to the 80s and 90s, that this type of smell. So this No. 5 to me, in a way, I wouldn't really classify them as parfum, eau de parfum, eau de toilette, eau de cologne, and eau première. I would actually classify them in decades. So this to me is timeless. So let's just do that. I'm going to stop from now on doing eau de parfum and all that stuff, and parfum and eau de toilette. So this is timeless. This to me is 80s and 90s. I have two eau de toilettes here. The eau de toilettes are also 80s and 90s. But they're still available today, and they have a very different, you know, eau de toilette was made before, but it was eau de cologne before it was eau de toilette. And it has, like, I have this one as a splash. Let's put it down here. All right. These do exist in 400 milliliter bottles, like big splash bottles. It's more fresh and in a bit, it smells younger, but a bit more vulgar. So I would say it's more 90s than 80s. Then we have the Eau Première, which just changed bottles, but I have the original bottle. Now it has different, now it looks like this more or less. Au Premier is 2000s, and I would actually go from 2005 onwards. So this is a 2000s. And then we have the Hair Mist, which is also 2000s, in my opinion. The Hair Mist is 2000s. I love it. So that's how they're kind of split. Now there have been other versions of number 5, like Elysia and the this and the that, but these are kind of the basic ones, the main ones. This is a vintage Chanel number 5 pure perfume bottle. And is it gonna focus? Not really. 7.5 ml refill. I only have a couple of drops left in this one. It's your like purse version. Just put it in, and there you go. You could put this instead of a lipstick inside of your 255 bag, because there is a compartment here. Oh, that'd be difficult. In right in there. That's where maybe this one is too big to slip in there. Might be. Maybe you need. It doesn't really fit into the small. It kind of would if I were to really force it in there, but you see what I mean. There you go. I'm not gonna force it in there, of course. I guess you would have to have the jumbo version to fit the perfume spray, but these are made in different sizes nowadays, so they might be even bigger or smaller. I haven't really kind of bought a new spray version, so I don't know. After all is said and done, of the three, you know, main, like the eau de toilette, the eau de parfum, and the parfum, I would definitely first, of course, I prefer the parfum. After that, I do go for the eau de toilette more than for the eau de parfum, because the eau de toilette gives you more sensation of nonchalance in a way, and this one requires you to wear patent leather. This is like, you need a Chanel bag from the 90s. If anybody knows Pedro Almodovar, check out one of my favorite Chanel movies ever. I mean, with Chanel costumes in them. Of course, the Marienbad version movie, yes, goes without saying, but high heels. Pedro Almodovar, high heels. The daughter is wearing Chanel from beginning to end, and her mother is wearing Armani. Gorgeous juxtaposition of the two, the gray tones and the red hues. The warmer hues are the Chanel. So Victoria Abril wearing, I see her like just smelling like eau de parfum, Chanel number 5, with her patent red Chanel single flat patent bag. That is the eau de parfum for me. Just check out that opening sequence when she's waiting for her mother at the airport with her red patent Chanel bag. That's eau de parfum. Eau de toilette would be more introspective kind of Chanel, dressed in black. That's the eau de toilette for me. And the pure perfume is just elegant haute couture, no matter what you have on. Whatever Karl or Chanel before Karl presented as an outfit for haute couture, that's what this would be. Here we have a vintage Chanel number 5, 7 milliliter, not the 7.5 that they do today. And it's in a really tiny, tiny box. They don't make these anymore. This is also when they cost less. In fact, now they give you the same amount in bigger boxes, so they justify more the price, which is insane. But anyway, 7 milliliter used to be, you know, in plastic. Now they're making them in paper and carton again. But this is a little vintage perfume bottle. This is how the packaging used to look like. So, you know, they were considered more something to use more often. Like, perfumes were not that expensive always, the pure perfumes either. So this is just a tiny little box. And in fact, the price was, you know, if you check out the vintage pricings of these bottles, they were much lower than they are today. Even comparing, you know, the difference in price and in inflation, it's still a major, major difference in pricing between the past and today. So in fact, these little babies, you can't make this thing cost hundreds of euro because, you know, you don't have the size for it. So that's one version again. And now let's get to Au Premier just quickly. Au Premier or Première, I like it because it's sweet, modern, and new, but at the same time, I totally understand. Actually, I have one space free here to spray it there. So now we have pure perfume, Au Premier, Eau de Parfum, and Eau de Toilette. It's all a big mess. Eau de Toilette is great. Eau de Parfum is also good, but it has that dry powderiness to it, which can be annoying, especially if it's very hot outside. So this is something I would definitely suggest more in autumn and beginning of spring. Pure perfume is just divine. Any time of the day, night, any season, any mood. And Au Premier is sweet. It's really more young. It's for a younger generation. It's a sweeter perfume. So it's, to me, it's also a bit more acidic than the other ones. It has that little acidity factor. I don't know how to describe it, but it's there. And I don't always like it. I don't always go for that type of stuff, that acidity stuff. But I mean, as you can see, this is the only bottle I ever purchased, and I used it quite a lot. I mean, this is back in the day when they still used to make 40 ml. It was when they just launched Au Premier, I think a year or two after that. And I never purchased it again. So if I do make a purchase, it's usually the pure perfume, or if they make a big bottle like this, then I love to have it in my collection. I mean, when I smell all four of them, at the same time, the Au Premier is just not as close to perfection as the other three, to me, personally. I think Eau de Toilette is quite underestimated. I think people are judging it a bit harshly because it does smell different than the other ones. It does smell different than the Eau de Parfum or the Parfum. But it is what it is, people. I mean, it's an Eau de Toilette, so you can't expect it to be just a lighter version of the others. It's a different combination. It's a different composition almost. You do recognize the identity of Chanel No. 5, but it's a different perfume at the same time, to me personally. But it's a good perfume, nevertheless. It really is a good perfume. And you have to wait a bit more till the dry down kicks in. But when the dry down does kick in, the Eau de Toilette does have that warmth like the Parfum has, or the Eau de Parfum. Definitely. The Parfum is just much more delicate, and you smell that incredible quality of the concentrates in it. It's just there, and it really catapults you everywhere, everywhere you want to imagine that you want to be, because the pure perfume is just a crazy, it's a crazy thing. I mean, it really brings you to different heights and different levels. It makes you feel like you could also accomplish things on your own. It makes you feel very independent. And these are all really great traits. In general, I would say every Chanel No. 5 reenactment offers that. Now, why am I not getting into specifics of emotions related to this perfume? Because it's one of the perfumes I've used the most in my life. And it has, I swear to you, delivered to me so many emotions that I would need, I'm already on 33 minutes now. I would need another 2 hours to go through them. Maybe I'll make another video in the future, but for now I think this is enough. And I just want to say, rather than describing it, you really have to live it. You have to wear it, and you also have to be ready to wear it and to use it also right before, some big events happen in your life, because it's a perfume that follows you throughout these important things in your life, whether they be good or bad. And at the same time, it doesn't leave like a sour taste in your mouth. Like some perfumes that are very specific, and then when you experience something while you wear them, you just can't wear them anymore. No matter if it's a good or bad experience, it just reminds you too much of something. This one is more independent. Maybe because I personally wore it throughout my entire life, that I do not really realize anymore the bad or the good moments that I had with it. It's just, to me, it's just omnipresent. It's everywhere. It's forever. It was there before me. It's going to be there after me. And I'm just kind of here. I have the luck to have been, born in the period when this perfume actually exists, so that I could really enjoy it so much. By the way, that was Carol Alt in the ad. was checking while I was talking, multitasking. So this is Chanel number 5. I hope you liked this review. You know, I should probably do a review just on the perfume, a review just on the toilette, a review just on the eau de parfum, a review just on the eau première. But just to give like kind of a general overview, I think this was relatively informative. I hope you liked it. I hope you give me a thumbs up on this long video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see the community grow with it. And thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye.